Hello and welcome to part 2 of my examples where I'm working on chapter 2, programming exercise number 4, the total purchase. Previously we built this in Raptor and we'll run and give this output right here. Okay, now we're going to do that same program but build it in Python. We're going to follow this pretty closely. There are some big changes we'll have a look at. First, we're going to declare our variables. Okay, and you'll notice something new. I put a comment in there. In Python, you start with the pound sign and you can declare your variables. Item 1 equals 0.0. So I want our things to have decimal values. So right from the bat, I need to make sure I declare it with that decimal value. If I don't, Python is going to think it's an integer. And although it's not a fussy, not hard-coded, we've not said that it's one or the other, it is a good practice to tell it as soon as possible which variable type you are going to store in it, lest you may run into trouble in the future. Okay, so I have my variables. Now I'm going to input values from the user. Okay, and in order to do that, there is actually an input command. Okay, item 1 equals input, and I get to prompt the user, and I'll say what is the value of item 1. Okay, this isn't going to be perfect for us because input from the user is going to default to coming in as a string. So I'm going to cast that. I say float, put parentheses around this whole thing. It's called casting. So I'm specifically saying that I want this to be turned into a float. So the user types in a word, and then when it'll take the input, because the input from the user just comes in as strings. So if I type in some weird input, it's going to first do this part. Then when it gets to the float, that's when I'll get the error. Same line, but it's going to start and bubble its way out. Okay. So that is how I'm going to get the input. I'm looking at my reference over here, so you know I wrote this once already. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Don't forget to do that. First time I wrote this, I did forget to do that, and my output was wrong. And it took me a few seconds to realize why. All right. So what's the value of item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And I'm going to turn that into a float and a floating point integer, and then assign that to value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next, I'm going to calculate the tax and totals. Okay. So we've done all this part. Next, we have to do this part over here, the tax and the totals. Python, strictly speaking, does not have constants. Raptor did not have constants. It's a flowchart. But what I'm going to do is kind of emulate that, and I'm going to say tax rate equals 0.06. Okay, and I've used all uppercase. That is the standard pretty much in every language when you're using constants, is to use all uppercase. This is not a constant. Using uppercase doesn't automatically make something a constant. Strictly speaking, Python does not have constants. There are some common ways that programmers store their variables in order to denote that they want something to be a constant, even though such a thing doesn't exist in Python. So one of those ways is by using uppercase letters. Next, I'm going to do the subtotal. That's what I have to do before I can do the text. Subtotal equals, and what I want to do again is be perfectly sure that this is going to come back as a float again in the end. Item 01 plus item 02. Now this may not be completely necessary, maybe a bit of overkill, but better to be safe than sorry. Item 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I numbered them correctly. I have my subtotal. Next I can do the tax. Now that I have the subtotal, tax equals subtotal times, oops, gotta do the uppercase, tax rate. Okay. I don't have to specifically say this one is going to be a float because the tax rate is a float already, and then when you multiply it, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a float. Okay. But these, I plan on inputting just values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for these, and so it's probably going to be turned into an integer, perhaps, and I have my input over here. So I'm just being a little extra safe by putting this float on line 17 here. Total is subtotal plus tax. And then I have to print all these out, and this is going to be a little bit different as well. Print the subtotal is, okay, you may think that we can just say the subtotal is plus subtotal. That's what we did over here in Raptor. That's what we can do over here, right? But if we run this, we're going to get an error, and our little assistant is going to pop up and try to help us. Oh, I have an error right there. I forgot my equal sign. Let's try this again. I had a syntax error. Okay, value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I run into an error on line 21 that says you cannot concatenate a string with a float because it thinks that's what I'm trying to do. So in Raptor, this was okay, but here in Python, this is not going to be okay. So what I need to do instead is actually put 2 curly braces in there and put a dot, format, put the subtotal in parentheses. I have a parentheses here for print and a parentheses here for the format. Don't forget to have 2 in the end. They should all match. Okay. So this curly brace in the string, when I do the dot format and give it the subtotal, it's going to take that subtotal and stick it in the place where this curly brace was. Okay, so now if I test this, I gotta put my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 value in for item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's going to work fine. I get my subtotal. So I'm going to copy and paste this 2 times subtotal, the tax, and the total. We can do these both exactly the same. Tax, total, and something else I'm going to do here is put some spacing in. I did not do it in the Raptor example, but I am going to do it in the Python example. I'm also going to put a comment in here, do the output. Okay. Now when I run this, I get my values 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to do values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for those. So the subtotal is $15. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 15. The tax in Raptor, we saw that the tax was 0.9, but in Python it's actually 0.89999999999. It's not going to do the rounding for us. Okay, so this is what we're going to call a floating point error. This is pretty common in programming, is that when you're working with floating points, sometimes you get, instead of 0.9, you get 0.899999999. And you have to learn how to deal with those. Once I've done the math with it and I've added the tax and the subtotal together, it did round up for me and I got 15.9. So 8.9 repeating, 0.89 repeating plus 15 does equal 15.9. So we do have to be prepared for those. Floating point errors are pretty common, not the most common type of error, but they're pretty common. So keep an eye out on those. This is Chapter 2, Programming Exercise 4. All right. Hopefully you were able to follow along with everything that's in there. If not, just rewind and watch it again. All right. Thanks for watching.